Gunmen have kidnapped 25 people and killed a senior teacher at a girls' school in northwestern Nigeria. Police deployed to the scene in Kebbi State after the attackers had already left. Northern Nigeria has seen a series of similar abductions. The kidnapping of 276 schoolgirls a decade ago caused international outrage. The heavily armed criminal gangs known as bandits also raid villages, steal cattle, and carry out kidnappings and killings.
The thought of being in your school dormitory when suddenly armed men storm the building and capture you, I find that so terrifying. When people can't feel safe in their own country, it's not just bad for every individual, but also for that country's political climate as a whole. And that is why on this episode of the 77%, we want to take a closer look at the state of democracy in Nigeria and the entire African continent. I'm your host, Liz Cho. Coming up on the show. In Nigeria, we take a closer look into opinions on U.S. President Donald Trump's threats of military action in the country. We then ask why aging African leaders continue to cling to power in a continent full of young people. And in Senegal, we look at how youth activists are fighting to hold their democracy accountable in a largely under-20 population. We'll kick off today's show in the U.S., where President Donald Trump threatened a military intervention in Nigeria, claiming Christians are being persecuted. While it's true that in some areas churches have been attacked, we have to point out that the majority of those affected by violence in northern Nigeria are Muslims. And some are wondering whether the real reason for Trump's threats is because of how Nigeria is taking charge of its own resources. For example, by refining oil instead of re-importing from the U.S., and by signing a lithium deal with China instead of U.S. car maker Tesla. But we also know that many young Nigerians are unhappy with the way the country is run. And so we asked them, how strong is democracy in Nigeria?
We don't practice democracy as it should be perfectly. We are just like in the middle. When it comes to some certain things, there are compromises here and there. We're not really free. It's not free and fair like that, as it should be.
To the essence of what democracy means, no. Because obviously now we can see it, snatching ballot papers, stuff like that. That's not what a democratic nation looks like.
I think in a democratic country, the government should be able to listen to the needs of the people and then be able to work on it. But I think here right now in Nigeria, there's so many cries from the people, and then the government are not really acting upon it. So I don't really think we are really doing so well as a democratic country in Nigeria.
It's meant to be, but I don't think Nigeria is a democratic society. That's because I would make use of the last presidential election. I don't think the present president was being elected by the people. I think the person who they wanted was not who is on seat currently.
Very little optimism there. Well, back to Donald Trump and his controversial statement. We sent Suleiman Kolo to Jos to ask young Nigerians whether the U.S. military should intervene in Nigeria or not.
Hello everyone and welcome to the 77% Street Debate. My name is Suleiman Kolo and today we're tackling a very hot topic. With the current insecurity and ongoing tension in the northern part of Nigeria, today we're asking, should the US intervene militarily in the northern part of Nigeria? Some people believe this is a good idea, others think it's complete madness. But today I've got four amazing guests who are going to do this with me. So without no further ado, let's get straight into it. What's up, everybody? Good evening. How y'all doing?
Hi.
Nice. So today we're running a quick and easy street debate, and we're asking, should the U.S. intervene militarily in northern Nigeria? I believe this side are against, and this side are for. Am I right?
We are for.
We are for, and you're against. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let the debate begin. So I'm going to start with you right now. Should the U.S. intervene militarily in northern Nigeria?
I stand before you today to say a loud and clear no to that, simply because U.S. military intervention in northern part of Nigeria is not a welcome help and it is a complete madness. One of the reasons is because, let's start from where the entire issue started, right? The issue between the farmers and the elders happening in the north. This issue is as a result of land disputes and water disputes, and undermining this kind of issue into something that is religious based is dangerous and very misleading.
Okay. Do you agree with what she just said?
Trump hasn't he hasn't got any record of going into any country and leaving it in a mess. Let's hold him to his words. The intervention in Nigeria is going to focus on the terrorists who endangering the lives and properties of Christians in the northern part of the country. And the operation is going to be fast and quick and sweet as well.
You have your point?
Yes, I do. So I like the fact that you mentioned that it's going to be quick and sweet, right? Now, the question I would ask is how? Because what Trump promised is military troops, if I'm correct. And when we mention military troops, we all know what it comes with. More bombs, more shooting, more countries being destroyed. And are you trying to tell me that this will not even lead to fueling more terrorist group and more, killing happening?
What's really at stake for Nigerians right now? Our security, our sovereignty, or something more?
So what Nigeria actually needs right now is our security. Yeah, because that's the most important thing, so that we can sleep at night peacefully and wake up the next day.
Yeah, the government, they are actually not doing a great job. Apart from the military rule, the democratic rule of Nigeria has been so bad. Right. We just don't have... Democracy is not something that works in Nigeria. Let's be honest ourselves. We don't have this... Are we even really doing democracy? Should we start from our elections?
I get you. So now... Okay.
Is because, the major accusation from the U.S. is that the so-called genocide or terrorism in Nigeria is sponsored by government actors, you understand, the so-called political elite. So, and that being the case, that is, in fact, why I think that a U.S. military intervention is not only a matter of necessity, but also a matter of urgency, because we cannot count on the same government to be the solution to our current problems if they are perceived to be the enemies of the state. What matters most is the life of the average Nigerian, you understand, and if the government is not providing that security for the average Nigerian, then a military intervention by a foreign power is most welcome.
I totally agree with him.
Okay.
Right. But what we actually really need right now is the military intervention, because we cannot keep being silent and dying silent, whereas we are thinking that everything is fine and nothing is moving well.
US don't help anybody for free. There is definitely an interest of either domination or taking over. And also, I also think that the fact that...
Sorry, he's asking, so let's hear from him quickly.
So I think most of the fear of most Nigerians is the fear of domination, thinking that when they arrive that they're going to take over the natural resources, or which even though they never that is already being handled, taken over by most of our government, because we don't have access to that. But then coming in, there might be a tactic where we have access to our own natural resources, because they are definitely going to take away all the insurgents and everybody, bad government, because that is the most important thing. Because we're saying that Nigeria helping Nigeria, we have been hearing it for so long.
So you prefer that they just come help us, and even if they are going to take the resources, they should take it away?
They're not going to take the resources. That's the fear of most Nigerians, the fear of domination.
Okay.
Which I don't see that.
I think
right.
if they are going to take
Sorry, let's hear from her first.
The US intervention, they've never left the country they intervened in peace. They are still always suffering. And we Nigerians are already suffering enough.
Exactly.
We are forgetting that innocent people are also in these places. You can't tell me that, they are coming here, they know the people they are coming to fight.
Okay, let's go back to him. Let me hear from you.
So no matter the summary of the whole thing is that we have a problem, and the solution is not going to come internally.
Yes.
You understand? Because the same people are the ones who are accused to be the enemies of the state, the sponsors of terrorism, the same elements in government, you understand, and even our military.
Yes. Now that they mentioned, why do you think so?
So, now, I think we are enablers of our government. We Nigerians, we enable our government a lot. So, before all this, people have been tweeting, complaining, saying this on X, and this and this is happening, this and this is happening. our government don't take us seriously, and we also don't take our government seriously. So let's be honest with ourselves. We are bad people. Our governments are also bad people because these people are coming from us. If we are still having the same people, I'm not voting for anybody.
Still on her point, you have something to say?
Yeah. So that is the main political apartheid. Because you don't have interest in politics, so that's the main issues of Nigeria. Because you don't believe in your government.
No. I don't say that. Don't tell me.
Do you have interest in politics?
I have interest in politics, and let me tell you, I'm not saying that, I don't have interest in politics. That's why I'm not voting for these people. I believe that there is nothing these people are offering. They are all birds of same feathers. They have all ruled. They've all governed.
So now he's saying an external influence will be important. So what is your own solution right now? Your own?
My own solution is let us, the youth, stand up for ourselves.
How?
We need to find a way. I don't know how we are going to do it. I don't know the answers.
So many people, celebrities, notable figures came out to actually protest against the Department of the Police Force, who have unfortunately aggrandized more powers to themselves and started intimidating the poor civilians. You know, when that happened, they hosted a very massive protest. What was the outcome?
Sorry, so speaking about the NSAS, you just said, okay, we can try and come out ourselves and try to make it work for ourselves. But he gave an example with the NSAS. It didn't work. So what other solution would you prefer?
Okay, so NSAS didn't work, but I believe we can try again and try again and try again. Because US, you see, they did not just get there in a day. It was continuous build-up, and I think if we allow US to take over, to come and control us, and the way we because they don't understand the issues that we have. There's the issue of corruption. Why don't we put measures in place that everybody is being dealt with, regardless
of... Let me cut you a bit. Do you agree that we should try and try and try?
I don't think so, because we'll be trying. So how long?
But we just tried with NSAS.
Yeah. There's no results.
This is really heated, but right now, let's hear the final solution. The final one, last one. Yes.
At this point, it's in the interest of all to at least allow a foreign intervention. Let us even see what is going to happen.
Lastly,
I refuse to believe that sovereignty is dead. This is a matter of national pride and principle. And allowing US military to work in on us is like declaring publicly that we cannot govern ourselves. So what then will happen to our independence? So I believe that Nigerian youths, again, not just the youths, everybody, we need that cooperation. We need to shun corruption. We need to shun nepotism, tribalism. Let people be dealt with regardless of their rank or their titles or the kind of family they come from. And then there are a lot of things. The list goes on. There's also the issue of unemployment. Create more jobs. Let's empower rural development. Invest in agriculture, and hopefully we'll have a better Nigeria.
Wow, what a debate. As you can see, I'm sweating. But as you can see, split opinions. The conversation is endless. But one thing is clear, young Africans are not giving up. Nigerians, to be precise, we are not giving up. We're not staying silent. Until I come your way next time, I still remain your boy, Suleiman Kolo. Peace out. See ya.
Thank you so much, Suleiman, for that fantastic street debate. Now, we've seen young people across Africa taking to the streets to oppose leaders they say are not holding up democratic values. And we know that for democracy to work, we also need politicians who know when it's time to go. So here at the 77%, we asked ourselves, does the age of our leaders determine the quality of our democracies? My colleague Rachel Duati has some answers.
Young men blocking roads.
Thousands of people have turned out to the rallies.
More respondents, corruption as a problem.
Does the age of leaders affect democracy? And are older leaders holding tighter to power? Let's start with Cameroon. After the recent election results were announced, opposition supporters took to the streets and protests erupted in several cities. Many young people accused authorities of rigging the vote. They were protesting the re-election of one man, Paul Biya. He's been Cameroon's president for over 40 years. But why would a 92-year-old man still want to rule this young nation whose average age is just 18? For many young Cameroonians, it's hard to feel represented by a leader nearly 5 times their age. Then there's Cote d'Ivoire. Alassane Ouattara has led the country since 2010 and is now 83. He recently secured a 4th term, but in the months before the election, thousands protested in Abidjan against his bid to run again. 2 opponents were barred from running, and only half of the registered voters went to the polls. And last is Tanzania's Samia Suluhu. Her party, Chama cha Mapinduzi, has ruled since Tanzania got independence in 1961. Her recent election was marred by arrests, intimidation, and violence, with over 1,000 estimated deaths. So, we've answered the first question. Now for the second. Is holding on to power really about age, or more about a system where a leader operates in? Jakaya Kikwete in Tanzania, Uhuru Kenyatta in Kenya, and Goodluck Jonathan in Nigeria all stepped down peacefully, ensuring smooth transitions. Kikwete was 64, Kenyatta was 60, and Jonathan 57. So when older leaders hold on to power, it can clash with the hopes of younger generations. Some block change while others step down peacefully. But what do you think?
Speaking of politicians and their age, did you know that Zimbabwe was once ruled by the world's oldest leader? President Robert Mugabe was 93 years old when his authoritarian reign ended. But even under the current president, Mnangagwa, who is 83 years old, Zimbabwe is still not a country where everybody can just speak their mind. I noticed that every time I talk to young Zimbabweans, many are super reluctant to publicly say anything negative about the government. 26-year-old Namatai Kwekweza does not belong to that group. She's an activist and has won this year's German Africa Prize for her courageous commitment to the rule of law and democracy in Zimbabwe.
Constitution culture!
The group We Lead has gathered to learn about the constitution and democracy. Zimbabwean human rights activist Namatai Kwekweza founded the organization, which focuses on civic education and civil rights.
The activism itself and the advocacy journey is something that then, transpired through the things that I would experience. So when my mom was retrenched, it was part of very powerful politicians and judges conniving to create a statutory instrument, a law that would allow them to retrench people on a 3-month notice and not pay them anything. And my mom was one of the thousands of people that was affected by that.
Namatai started We Lead at 18 with no prior experience in human rights activism. Today, her organization operates in Zimbabwe, Botswana, and South Africa.
I'm a constitutionalist, and I like to focus on the Constitution as a cultural practice, as a living document, as something that we are living every day, breathing. When you talk about the right to education, when you talk about the right to life, when you talk about environmental rights, when you talk about accessing clean drinking water.
Namatai's activism comes at a high cost amid Zimbabwe's escalating crackdown on dissent. In July 2024, she and 2 other campaigners were arrested for taking part in a protest against the detention of opposition supporters. They were tortured, charged with disorderly conduct, and held for 35 days.
It was a very painful process because I really watched how the different departments of government, be it immigration, to the police, to the magistrate courts, and the prosecutors themselves, came together and sort of colluded to actually keep us in prison.
At the time of her arrest, activists in Zimbabwe were protesting economic hardship, rights violations, and the lack of democratic space. Ahead of the August 2024 Southern African Development Community Summit in Harare, the government arrested and beat opposition members, students, and civil society leaders to prevent protests. After 35 days in detention, Namatai and her colleagues were acquitted. She now draws on her own experience in detention to console and support others.
If you're abducted for speaking truth to power, if you're in prison for speaking truth to power, It's hard, but if you're waking up and you're leaving a life, a shell of a life that is limited in opportunity and possibility, that is also hard. So I think it's very important for young people to choose the prison in which they want to belong in.
Congratulations, Namatai Kwekweza, and keep up the good work. I'm sure you are an inspiration to many others. Now, for some African countries, pursuing democracy does not only mean speaking up to those in power. As we find out in Senegal, it's also about being proud of Africa's rich history. It's about believing in Africa's immense strength instead of relying on foreign powers whose political and financial influence often comes with strings attached. Let's travel to Senegal's capital, Dakar, to find out how young people are shaping the country's future even when it's risky.
What really makes Senegalese democracy strong in a region marked by political instability? In Dakar, we met those who live it, defend it, and sometimes pay a heavy price for it. 65 years of independence and 5 elected presidents. Senegal is often cited as a model of democracy in Africa. In Dakar streets, this reputation is a source of pride for the youth.
In Senegal, everyone has the freedom to speak and express themselves.
The strength of a democratic country is that the government actually listens to its people.
Democracy is when everyone is treated the same, no matter their political views.
Countries in crisis are not democracies. Dictatorships can last a year, 2 years, 10 years, but sooner or later they explode into conflict.
For me, an independent country is a democratic country, a country of peace.
Democracy, a precious achievement for Suleiman, an activist with Front for a Popular and Pan-African Anti-Imperialist Revolution, a grassroots citizens movement.
Are our democracies being held captive by a group or an elite?
This morning, he's leading a civic awareness workshop with a dozen young people. For the young people of Dakar in Senegal's capital, one word comes up again and again: democracy.
I don't agree with everything about democracy, but we have to remember it's for the people.
I don't understand why we choose our MPs in Senegal this way. The political parties decide. We don't even know who our representatives will be after the election.
The goal of this meeting? To rethink the foundations of democracy. For some, it means peace. For others, justice or a government that truly listens to its people.
Without democracy, we go back to the state of nature, where everyone does as they please. That's why, even if it's imperfect, we must keep questioning and improving it. It's what allows society to function.
Between 2021 and 2024, Senegal's democratic model wavered. Mustafa witnessed it firsthand and paid a heavy price for his convictions.
This is where they arrested me. It was the 30th of March.
In March 2023, the country erupted after opposition leader Ousmane Sonko was convicted, a move seen as an attempt by President Macky Sall to cling to power. Mustafa, then 25, joined the protests.
The torture was horrible. It stays in your mind. The way they tortured us. Even animals aren't treated like that. They didn't even let us speak.
Mustafa spent 5 months in prison. He lost his scholarship and his dream of studying law.
Every new regime should respect term limits. But every time there's a transition, there's suffering, deaths, and it's us, the youth, who pay the highest price. That's why I question Senegalese democracy. There's still a lot to do to strengthen it.
Half of Senegal's population is under 20, according to the latest census. In a West African region shaken by political instability, Senegal stands out as a true laboratory of democracy, driven by its youth.
And to wrap up our show, let's hear from young people in Botswana, a country that is considered one of Africa's leading democracies. So, democracy, yay or nay?
Democracy, it is important for Botswana because it protects our rights and peace. It's when you have a say in how the country runs, in how Botswana runs.
Democracy is important for Botswana because it allows us to make laws that aligning with our values of peace and harmony, and in a voice, I suppose, like dictatorship.
Democracy means having a say in how a country should be run. It protects people's rights and also promotes accountability and promotes citizen participation.
Well, that's all we have time for today. You've now heard from the youth in Botswana and our reporters from across Africa. And now we want to hear from you. What is the state of democracy in your country, and what are you doing to get involved in making your country a place where everyone is treated equally and has a voice? Let us know by writing to us. I'm Liz Show, and I'll leave you with the song Power by the multi-talented Kenyan Muthoni drummer queen. Enjoy and see you soon.
Kwanza jenga kasivi, mna presha ya kumari batatu jiski, mtabaki mukicheki, shinda mkidibeti, penye ni nageti.